Ah, worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq hollering at you one more again. Man, I love you all. True indeed. And you know that already. Already, right? Um, Man, I apologize. I actually didn't start streaming till about a minute after. Um, Life is funny. I actually dropped my whole laptop and the joint popped off and the whole night. Yeah, that's funny. Um, but yeah, another beautiful day in the worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Ah, true indeed, true indeed. All right, folks. I have a very, I think, interesting subject matter for you. Something that at first glance might appear a bit esoteric, right? And abstract. It is that, but there are some surprising inroads in the world of science that make this a lot more tangible than we might think. I see folks starting to chime in. Come on in. Come on in. True indeed. Come on in. Let's get comfortable and sit down and talk with each other for a moment, right? First of all, I thank you all. Truly, I love you all. You know that. You help me to continue to build this worldwide movement. This is truly my life's work. And we've come a long way. We've come a long way. And this forum is really starting to grow. We had a magnificent conversation last week. I want to thank again everyone who participated. It was really a rousing conversation and just fantastic participation. So I truly appreciate that. All right. So hopefully you're all getting comfortable. I'm getting pretty comfortable here. I got me some nice. Everybody who knows me knows I'm the hydrated being. I love to hydrate all day long. I'm drinking water. I love and prefer um, high pH water, 88 and above if possible. Yeah, that's my preference. Um, but generally, any spring water or Fiji makes a pretty good volcanic sort of filtration type of water, hot spring type of water. But anyway, don't get me tripping out on water. I'll be talking about that. Actually, I will be getting back to water in a moment here. But today's subject: one day, and again, perhaps sooner than we think. One day, um, we will scientifically have the ability to see on a multidimensional level love. What, Big King? What did he just say for the couple of folks who just got in? Man, thank you. See, the forum starting to build already. Thank y'all for chiming in. Welcome. Get comfortable. Let's talk, right? Again, thank everybody from last week for that magnificent conversation. I absolutely loved it. But yeah, okay, brother Sean, Brother Sean Johnson in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Who else we got in the building? Anybody else who checked in here? Please put your name in the chat so I know who I'm building with right now. The folks that are building with Big King. Okay, so to touch and get Den Skeezy. My man. Dennis Scott. Mr. Scott. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. So somebody else. We had somebody else. Hopefully they'll chime back in. Okay. So this subject matter, again, might seem a bit esoteric at first, right? But there's a lot more science behind this than what you might think, and we're going to uncover that in a moment. But what I'm proposing is that one day we will scientifically develop the method that will allow us to see love. What, Big King? Is what I'm guessing some folks might be thinking. So here's what I mean by this. First of all, I would imagine it would be prudent to talk about what love is, right? First of all, love is an energy, right? We can quantify this by its effects on 3D, 4D, physical beings, and truly physical objects, but most certainly corporeal physical beings are affected, certainly not just humans. We have seen all throughout the animal kingdom very deep bonds of love, right? And if none of you know what I'm referring to, just go and when you have a moment, pull up, animals crying, different, elephants crying about mourning a loved one that just died and things of that nature. So demonstrations of the power of the energy of love exist all throughout the animal kingdom. Now, that is one proof we could offer up of its existence of an energy, is that it impacts physical things. Though itself may be abstract, it does impact other things. It is often a catalyst, right? Love is most often an energetic catalyst. Again, impacting people, places, things, situations, and scenarios, right? When we start to think about this, pardon me, y'all, I am over here rolling up once again. Slight difference between the podcast and the channel, folks. This is for adults only, right? Not that we're getting into nothing shady, because we'll get down like that. But we're certainly not going to be, we have adults on here. It's a live setting. Somebody else just jump back in. Please announce yourself in the chat so that we can address you and welcome you. Oh, then you jump right back out. You're playing with my emotions, Smokey. Come on, man. All right, so yeah, this is an adult forum. And I say that again because, it's a live forum. We have adults speaking. Nobody's going to be policing anybody's words, right? Okay, welcome back. Please stay with me. I need you. Who's that? Brother Sean, peace, love, respect. Brother Sean Anchor. I'm right around the corner from you, brother. What's up? My man. Um, dear brother Sean, we're talking about the fact that something that I would offer up is at a glance esoteric, meaning it would be difficult to quantify or prove with linear scientific methods. But that's just at first glance, right? In reality, we're going to offer up in a moment that there's quite a bit of science behind this venture of actually being able to see love in a multidimensional way. We're going to develop a scientific method for that. Okay, so getting back into this, and again, the reason for the repeat on the disclaimer is that we're not policing anybody's words. Um, you know, not discussing anything shady or negative. We're not hiding anything, right? But again, it's a free and open forum. We also are kind of keeping it very leisure, right? I gave props to Ben Roethlisberger and his podcast, Footballing, because I thought that. Now, come on, don't jump out just because I said something about Ben. The reason somebody jumped out, God, sign, stay with me. Peace, love, respect. Yeah, but the reason why I was giving props to that podcast is just the relaxed atmosphere. They every week have a new little drink or whatever that they sampling, a new beer or whatever, and the chef gets on there and they got new dishes that they sample throughout the day. It's a relaxed, chilled out little environment. I'm trying to create something similar. In a different way, we do smoke around here. No, listen, I'm very much a proponent of marijuana, ganja, cannabis, right? It should have never been illegal in the first place. Negative shout out to Harry Anslinger and his partner, who I always forget his name, but he was a Pennsylvania paper tycoon. If anybody cares to look that up later. All right, folks, but back on the subject of love. So love, we know we can identify as an energy, right? And we know evidentiarily, I made that up, that love does in fact impact people, places, things, situations, and scenarios in our 3D, 4D linear environment, right? Which is certainly an energetic, an evidence of energetic impact. Also, if you just think about it, folks, what is love really? Right? Love is the energy of coming together, right? And I would even state that love is, in a multidimensional way, the energy of cohesion. Okay? Folks, I think that is a very basic but accurate representation. I'm gonna open this up for the comments from everybody in just a moment. Okay, a quick question. Brother Sean Johnson asked, do I prefer street cannabis over dispensary cannabis? I'm careful, right? In that I recognize the tamper element, right? I recognize that quote unquote street cannabis um, can carry a high probability of not of less than desirable content, right? We're talking about street cannabis. We got to be careful as we open up the discussion and just talk a little bit about the fact that, if we're saying street cannabis, then we're talking about open source from just about anybody, right? I don't know. I think it is very much something that is debatable. And I don't necessarily have the kind of strong feelings one might expect. And that I'm just a flexible individual, right? Um, my preferences may be a little bit different than what I'm willing to tolerate, we'll say. Preferably, I would like to have what you would call street cannabis, just in that it's coming from a private source. But I would want that private source to be um, reputable and verifiable, right? Some of my most enjoyable cannabis has come from friends, from friendly exchange. Um, an example of that is I have a friend, we'll just give him the name M. M had a very nice crop come in at one point, and broke your man's off a nice little something from his crop, and the yield was very impressive. Both in strength and pod development, the whole nine. I mean, it was just a really nice yield, which all things considered was kind of unexpected. But anyway, I don't want to sidetrack too much in a cannabis conversation. Just to answer your question, Brother Sean, loosely, I prefer it not to come from a dispensary, just because I don't trust organized sources. That's just how I am personally. But then again, I do recognize, without regulation, that in the street I could just pretty much be getting anything. And I'm kind of winging it in terms of my judgment in that situation. I will acknowledge that. But yeah, that's just my personal preference. All right, let's build on the subject and let's open this up. Hopefully, some more folks will chime back in. But love as an energy, and again, I drew upon that example of love as the energy of cohesion. And by that, I mean the energy of things coming together. You could even, in some ways, label it as a form of fusion, right? At the lower than the genetic, I don't want to say genetic level. Let's just say at our most basic levels, Well, I'm gonna pause my own comment and go to make sure I read Brother Sean Johnson's comment. I agree 100% on it being a reputable establishment, grow naturally. With that being said, is dispensary cannabis safe? Good question. Good question. And I would lump into that to add on to that question. Is vaping marijuana safe? Now, you could look at it just as the only difference being in methodology, right? In terms of the kind of device that you're utilizing. But I think my potential objection comes from like vaping cartridges, right? And I don't think that's necessarily the healthiest choice. I'm not necessarily condemning the modality of vaping, right? Apparently, some people enjoy vaping a lot. But just as non-cannabis vaping does carry a lot of health concerns and red flags even. The same may be on a little lower level, but the same to a degree, I think can be said for vaping cannabis. Okay. Brother Sean has a comment. He says, okay, back on topic of love, knowing that it is a frequency and the colors that love is the color of red, but you and I know the heart chakra is represented by the color green. What's your perspective? Interesting. I never thought much about the association of the color red with love. But if you think about it in terms of representation and symbology, you always think of a little red heart to represent love. But your heart chakra is the color of green, which just happens to be my favorite color, by the way. Green, if I'm not mistaken, in representation, is a more tranquil color, right? And a color representative of peace. So I'm not sure about the red heart and where that comes from. Perhaps the fact that blood is red, and anytime we think of the heart, we think of blood. I don't know. That's aside. I don't want to go too far on that, but I think that was an excellent point that brother Sean brought up about the color of love. Sean Anchor says we do a 30-minute breathing exercise every week at yoga. And when you breathe into your heart chakra with your eyes closed, you see green. Very interesting. Dope. Thanks for chiming in with that, Sean. Sean A. And please don't drop out, whoever's leaving out. I'm sorry. I hope we ain't putting y'all to sleep. Right? But I thought that was an excellent comment that Sean A came in with. And I thought that was very interesting. That you have a very doable, a very viable means of seeing colors in a multidimensional way. And that's an actual exercise that Sean has provided for us to enable us to be able to do just that. So that's dope. Hats off to Sean for bringing that to the table. Hopefully some folks will jump back in, but this is is starting to heat up with some excellent points. Um, okay, so Sean Anchor, it is excellent that you touched into how there's a correlation between your breathing and your regulation of your chakras, right? Um, First of all, we can talk about the process of balancing your chakras, right? Um, Often I find that the tool of symbology is useful to me when I'm balancing my chakras, right? Um, each of the chakras we know is associated with a certain color, right? So for me, by me assigning different colors or having recognition of correlation between each chakra and its color, that is a tool that benefits me in balancing my chakras, right? If I'm able to visualize the color associated with each chakra, that aids me tremendously in balancing my chakras, right? Um, because quite honestly, colors can take on a representative meaning the same way numbers can, right? The same way you can number your seven main chakra, you can identify each of those chakra with a corresponding color. Okay. And Brother Sean even gave us up a dope method in which to utilize deep breathing uh, uh, to actually see the colorization of the energy of your heart chakra. So I thought that was powerful. Okay, so dipping back into this a little bit, esoterically again, um, when I speak of love, I need to make a note of this, that I speak of true unconditional love, right? What I'm saying is love based on adoration and or appreciation of another person, people, place, thing, right? Um, and I try to keep that as open as possible because I don't want to be narrow, right? My love personally is unconditional, and that's for all beings, right? All creations, actually. Because to me, and I believe I made this statement or a similar statement in last week's podcast, to me, true unconditional love is something that I apply to every single thing that exists, right? Because if the creator uh, conceived it um, and manifested it from thought form into 3D, 4D linear existence, um, who am I to love it any less than I would love myself, right? Um, all of our, in my estimation, all of our creators' creations are equal and should be respected equally, right? So, so far, I've just kind of loosely given you an hypothesis about love as an energy and our future ability to actually cognitively locate and see love as an energy form. which again is an abstract concept that I think to a lot of people might be a little idealistic. And it might even be difficult for many people to see applications of such a technology, right? But again, remember that it is a very uh, multifaceted energy, right? Unconditional love, that is, I'm referring to. And it is a powerful energy in that it affects things on a very broad scale or spectrum, right? True unconditional love, right? Again, exhibits the energy of cohesion, of coming together, right? Um, Love can most certainly, I believe, in energetic form, um, true unconditional love can indeed be represented in energetic form and studied in energetic form. Now, so far, I'm being esoteric, but I'm going to jump into the science a little bit and then open this up uh, a little more as an open forum with discourse. Um, a few things to note. There are some multidimensional, uh, intangible things that we might not typically think of in terms of studying um, or even quantifying love as an energy form, right? First of all, we know that that's going to be something abstract. Now, in it being abstract, it is multidimensional, right? Typically, when folks refer to four dimensions, you refer to length, width, height, or depth. Probably depth is a um, better term to use. Length, width, height, or length, um, width, and depth, right? 3D, but 4D brings in a fourth dimension. Now, certainly the fourth dimension is more than that. It is also the representative dimension, or it is the dimension that would house um, abstract things. It is the dimension that would encompass not just time, but let's see, 4D would also open us up to thought forms, right? And I mean thought forms in terms of building blocks, right? Um, we say 3D, 4D because we understand that human beings exist in both three dimensions and four dimensions. That fourth being um, the variable, if you will. But I just want to mention a few tangible scientific things that give way to understanding things, first of all, in terms of vibrational frequency, and starting to really be able to cognize love as an energy that is in some ways measurable, or at least its impact is measurable on people, places, things, situations, and scenarios. Um, But just to start off with some intangible things that certainly reflect multidimensionality, right? And I think it's important for us to understand and see some examples of multidimensionality that we can offer up as examples, um, because I think the more we start to delve into multidimensionality, the more we can surge forward and better in terms of our understanding of our physical universe, right? Um, Dr. Or just Masaru Emoto, a scientist with the IHM General Institute, did some incredible and powerful experimentation with water and the suggestibility of water and the uh, memory capacity of water. Brother Sean is chiming in. I love Dr. Emoto's water crystal experiment, where loving words make geometric shapes. Joe Rogan and guests talk about when they do DMT and have out of body experiences and say they see those shapes. Yes, those shapes are divine geometry, right? Um, let's see. Was just writing about him. Okay, word life. Um, I wrote about him and used him as reference in my first book, Peace, Love, Respect. This is the New Way. All right, word life. They say those shapes they see in out of body experiences are pure love. Yes, and that kind of touches on to the connectivity of love as an energy, right? Um, Things are represented in the universe in different ways energetically, right? Um, those geometric patterns that you see in the water are also representative of the patterning of how energy flows and even particles themselves when you start to get down to the smallest particles. Um, but energy, I mean, existence itself, matter moves um, magnetically and electromagnetically, right? And a lot is dependent on frequency. So, a few abstract things that I was starting to get into. Masaru Emoto of the IHM General Institute is who we were talking about with the water experimentation. Sean Anchor chimed in on that. And then Sean Johnson states, only way you could have true unconditional love is you have to have that for yourself first. Do we agree? Okay. Um, that is an excellent point, Sean. And I'm going to quickly add in what Heather has to say. Heather Tokas, yes, I'm familiar with that and have done workshops on it. I also write a weekly newspaper column and creep that in on Common Folk. LOL. Thank you very much for doing that, Heather. My good friend Heather down in West V. Ton of love for you. Thank you so much for chiming in. Everybody, both Sean Johnson and Sean Anchor, um, uh, my good friend Den Scott, God Science, uh, uh, um, Heather and a couple other people I saw here earlier who were kind enough to chime in. But yeah, thank you again for that for that, Heather. Um, I'm very interested, and I'm sure all of us are on those in those workshops. And we would like to know more about your newspaper. Drop some information on that in the comments, please, so that we can stay up on your weekly newspaper column. Um, Thank you. Huge compliment from brother Sean Anchor. Says you're scientific proof of it, bro. Thank you. That's mad love right there. Um, unconditional love is a concept that not everybody truly grasps, right? Um, I've said several times on video and many times in person, and I get a similar reaction every time I say this, is that I love everyone. I literally love every man, woman, and child on the face of this planet. And there are people who look at me with sort of a challenging look like, yeah, okay. Right? Um, but it's actually true. I literally love every man, woman, and child, every animal, every insect, every creature, everything stirring, right? Um, I truly have unconditional love for all. And to get to that state was a process. Um, but being able to report attainment of that state um, is is a joyous thing. Is probably the reason why I can honestly report not having had a bad day in close to 7 years. So for whatever that's worth, right? Um, Again, to some multidimensional things. Um, the Tomorrow Patient Foundation and the European Biostasis Foundation both have worked together to develop non-invasive sonic surgery, right? That's right, folks. We're talking about using sonics for non-invasive surgery. No incision. They're not cutting you, folks, right? No incision. This is done strictly using sonics, not even lasers, but using sound as a tool to actually remove tumors. I think that that is a quite a groundbreaking and powerful and forward-thinking um, development in the world of science, and something that is very important to all of us. That is massive, I think. Um, so again, the non-invasive sonic surgery, um, which is proven to be very um, successful and very consistent, consistently successful in tumor ablation, which is sort of like melting away the tumor rather than a surgery to actually physically remove the tumor. But that's very powerful science and that's evidence of very powerful science um, that is that in action right now. Is very actionable right now. The National Institute of Health has even had several different disciplines or applications of multi-dimensional scaling, right? Um, there have been sonics application experiments, different ways that you can apply the technology of sonics, sound manipulation, um, have been conducted by Northwestern University, the University of Illinois, um, Georgia Tech, and Texas A&M, the University of Colorado, etc. Right? There has been enormous headway and some very interesting findings and repeatable experiments done in cymatics. Right now, cymatics is the scientific discipline of manipulating sound waves or sonics um, to impact or influence solid matter, right? Like sand, for example. And it has been demonstrated how when different frequencies of sound are concentrated and amplified at sand on a plate, for example, the sand on the plate will actually, when stimulated by the sound, form a geometric pattern. A clear, not it sort of looks like, or it could be a geometric pattern, an actual geometric pattern, right? Um, and as you change the frequency of the sound that you're amplifying at this sand on the plate, the geometric pattern changes in a corresponding manner. Myself, I think that's powerful science and shows where we're headed in terms of utilizing more abstract concepts in our approach to science and health medicine, health science, medicine, and several other different scientific disciplines, right? Um, this is powerful stuff. um, I bring these things to the table so that we can really understand and have a grasp of where science is now, folks. Many things that we once considered to be science fiction are now science fact, right? Um, love is a multidimensional energy. I myself have posed it as the energy of cohesion, of things coming together. We certainly know that without that energy, whatever you want to term it as, we would not have anything in existence, right? You could not have nuclear fusion without cohesion or the energy of coming together or the energy of love. There would be no molecular bonds, right? So your molecules would never bond together to form cells. Your cells would never bond together to form, organs and internal systems and body parts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You would not be without love. Nothing exists without love, even hate. Hate is like anger. It's a secondary emotion, right? Often the trigger or the antithesis of hate is love, right? And often that stimuli that serves to excite hate is often love, right? Um, love is a very powerful energy. Love houses other energies. Love houses compassion, right? Do you know how powerful human love and compassion is? Folks, do you know when 9/11 hit that the outpour of compassion world round for the victims of 9/11 and for the anyone associated with it? That outpour of love and compassion actually change the magnetic grids of the planet in a measurable way. Pardon me. Think about how powerful that is. Humanity's outpour of compassion and love literally changed the magnetic grids of the planet in a measurable way. Don't take my word for it, look it up. This is not just speculation, folks. We're talking science. Love is a very powerful energy. We will see first, in a scientific way, the impact of love. We will see that energy, meaning that we will see the energetic impact of love in a laboratory environment. Then eventually, we will be able to multidimensionally trace back the impact to actually see the energetic source, which is love. We will see love. And I'm going to give you one more scientific reference to steer you finally in that direction to let you know this will be a reality. Okay. A few comments I missed, folks. Pardon me. Let's catch up. My lovely friend Heather, I melted away my breast tumor through love frequency. Wow. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Anybody who read my book knows the story of Miss Shaw that I put in there that references the power of love and her connection with her creator that saved her from a very large cancerous tumor in her neck. Okay. Getting back to Heather's comment, I melted away my breast tumor through love frequency. Love myself, for myself, from my brother, and several magical friends. It was a 5-inch long, oval, about 3-inch thick tumor. Wow. I hope I gave you just a little bit of that love, and I got a ton more for you. Truly, I do. And I applaud you and thank you so much for sharing that testimonial. No, truly, that was powerful. Wow. Wow. Did you hear what she said? Come on, folks. They didn't tell us everything in school, right? They know these things. They just didn't share with us. Sean comments after that. Thank you for sharing that, Heather. Favorite kind of story right there. True that, Sean. High five and high salute to her. Heather goes on to comment, excuse me, hate is a spectrum of fear. True that. Sit with that for a moment. Fear of being hurt, fear of being wrong, fear of getting disconnected. I'm sorry, y'all. I got a shady alert on my thing saying we was disconnected there. Okay, pardon me, folks. Back in the Heather's comment. Get fear of being wrong, fear of having to examine and change yourself. That's a big one. And all these things lead to hate. I agree 100%. Heather, thank you so much for that. Namaste. I see the creator in you for sure. Heather, no mastectomy, no lumpectomy. I have doctors that don't believe me when I tell them that. Wow. Wow. That is magnificent and powerful. And I'm going to tell you, that could have only been accomplished through the pure love connection between her and her creator inside her. However, she came to terms with that concept, that connection gave her that power. The power, and I'm going to tell you specifically what I'm referring to, folks. There's a powerful smart body system known as our innate, right? It's the system that we touch on when we do things like muscle testing or kinesiology. Your innate is truly that sort of overlay, that systematic overlay, or that connectable field of intelligence that connects every single atom, molecule, cell in your body to the next, right? And how you can communicate and send information throughout the body instantly, right? There is another concept that that is a very powerful concept that I think I probably should mention. Quantum entanglement, right? Folks, that is something that's a very powerful example of the quantum field and its impact in our 3D, 4D universe. I believe Einstein called this whole concept spooky action at a distance, right? It didn't sit right with him to his very dying day. and quantum entanglement is literally when you have two atoms that are quantumly entangled in the field, but could be in two completely different physical locations. There could even be vast distance in those physical locations, like two different cities. These experiments have been done. And you can, once these atoms are entangled, you can impact one atom or influence one atom in one way, and you will see the very same impact in the other one, miles away in another city. We're all connected, folks. Energetically, we're all connected. The quantum field is certainly real. And love is a very powerful force and energy in that field. All right. Sean Anchor, they got it on live video of Tibetan monks chanting away a tumor on a lady. In the book Science of Breath, a yogi did it in front of doctors on himself. That's powerful. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's very powerful. See, there's examples of this, folks. We can heal ourselves with the powerful energy of love. Self-love is the most powerful form of energy. the most powerful form of love is self-love. True that. Sean Johnson, thank you, brother, says, have you guys heard of med beds? Um, I do believe I've heard that. I'm not particularly familiar with the concept, but I do believe I've heard that. And that's worthwhile for all of us to look into a little bit more. Certainly, that is from what I understand, healing technology that utilizes vibration, tactile vibration. I could be wrong, but Sean, give us some more information on that. And certainly, everybody feel free to look it up for yourselves. Let's always do that. Heather, yes, amen. Now, amen. We can have a whole show about amen. We probably will, on the origins of where that comes from, folks. But that's a side note. I love that subject, quantum entanglement. Yes, spooky. It is to think of. Well, to me, it just is solid proof of our connectivity, right? If you can have two atoms be entangled in a certain state and get into a state of quantum entanglement, and then separated by the distance of two different cities, and still exhibit that connectivity where you hyperexcite one, let's say to a certain degree or temperature, and do the same to the other one, or excuse me, don't do anything to the other one, but it exhibits the same effects as how the other one was affected originally by those stimuli. I mean, that's powerful, and that's connectivity. Okay, where we at? Yes, Heather. And I have a healing center, and I want to be the first in the valley to have med beds. Yes, Heather does have a healing center. I have spoken there, graciously was invited to do so twice. It is a beautiful place filled with a lot of love. Heather, please put the specifics of your center in the chat so that everybody else can be able to access that and get in touch with you, or and maybe come down to the center. There is a facility in Butler, PA that claims to have med beds. I went there to experience them and buy one, but it was not actually med beds as I know them to be. They were just big batteries that did something. Okay, I could dig that, to put off frequencies. Okay. That's an interesting science that I think is worthwhile for all of us to learn more about. I certainly want to. Okay, word life. Man, we didn't look what we did. We done maneuvered into another fascinating conversation. I'm telling y'all, this forum is building. All of you are so highly intelligent and have all given wonderful input. Thank you all so much. I love you and I appreciate you tremendously. Another successful conversation, a high level conversation. I don't want to keep biting off of my man 13 Keys. That's his thing. But this has been that, right? So I'm grateful. Okay. There was something else I wanted to offer up for y'all. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to touch on, as I think that the med beds is very powerful, and us touching, a little bit on quantum entanglement, and the reality of the connective quantum field. Right, the field that connects us all, and the fact that love is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful energy housed within that field, right? it is again love that I refer to as the energy of cohesion, right? Of things coming together. And we wouldn't have anything without that energy. we simply would not if we did not have the energy at the uh, atomic level, even, right? If you think about the bonds within an atom is protons and neutrons forming the nucleus with an electron um, completing the atom and the field that is there. Um, if it were not for the connective energetic field and in fact, the energetic bond that is there, the atom wouldn't even stay together. Hence, without cohesion, the atom would not stay together. What is cohesion? The energy of coming together, right? And what is the energy of coming together but love, right? Um, all right, powerful conversation we had, folks. This is the last thing I'm going to offer up. And I would hope that after we encompass everything we talked about in this conversation, that we would realize that love is an energy, very powerful one at that. B, a connective energy that is part of the connective quantum field that is very interactive with people, places, things, situations, and scenarios as well. And that C, love and its impact is now measurable, and soon we will actually be able to measure um, love energetically, right? And as we are able to find an actual sort of location in the quantum field for that energy, right? And able to trace back from things that are impacted by that energy, we will eventually be able to locate, identify, and I would imagine in some way illuminate the energy of love that we would be able to actually um, monitor it or view it in some way, right? In some scientific method that I tend to think isn't as far off as we might think. Heather, I think I heard your sermon or amen before. Word life. It's just habit when I feel the spiritual resonance of the group. I love you all. Thank you for all the love here. Thank you, Heather. You certainly bring a lion's share of that love to the table. We appreciate that. We all do that. We all roar like generous lions, sharing our love in this form, and I can't be more appreciative of that. Sean Johnson, would that be considered our aura? Oh, the quantum field. No, but your aura, right? You can look at a couple of different ways. Your aura, first of all, is layered. There are several different layers to your aura, each of which corresponds to a chakra, right? And each of those chakra and auric bodies are connective to your different bodily organs and systems. So, that's what we get with our aura, but it is an energetic field. You could say it is also representative of and part of our biosphere, which is the very measurable electromagnetic field that emanates from all human beings from our heart center. It is said generally to be about 8 meters on average. Certainly, I have seen experimentation and different recordings and situations where biosphere have been observed to be a different individual's biosphere had observed to be much larger than that even. So yeah, that's powerful. But yeah, and your biosphere is connected with the quantum field. The quantum field is the energetic field that connects everything in existence, interacts with everything in existence. And just to throw this out there, folks, human consciousness has been experimentally, or meaning through experiment, proven to interact with, to impact, and even on some level dictate to the quantum field, which is powerful. You could even think of the quantum field as like the energetic, this is being figurative, the energetic sort of printer, like a 3D printer of our reality, right? Our 3D, 4D linear existence is sort of spat out by the quantum field. But the quantum field is always taking in input, data, and stimuli from human consciousness. So that's powerful. And what is most certainly flooding in the human consciousness? Love. Man, it's a powerful energy, folks. It's just no way around it. It's just no way around it. Okay. Back to what I was going to offer up quickly. I had a little tidbit of information that I was going to share with y'all. Give me a moment. While I locate my note that I misplaced briefly that I wanted to read to you. Okay, pardon me. I'm tripping. And this is Buildin with Big King, not tripping with Big King. I know I'm tripping a little bit. Okay, but this one last aspect, I think that first of all, we can see where we're headed with science and with our civilizations cognizing of several different concepts that encompass multidimensionality and the different energies that, well, that's actually metaphysics when you starting to get into metaphysics, and quantum physics when you start to study the energies that impact atomic activity, right? And like I said, at the atomic level, we can say that love is a very powerful and impactful energy within the quantum field. Okay. And I cited several things that are happening in the world of science and medicine, etc., that would point to, again, the development of new technologies that will one day result in us being able to actually locate, identify, see, and measure the energy of love in a laboratory setting. Okay. Um, and this is the last tidbit that I wanted to throw out there is that the University of Wisconsin Madison, um, which is the capital of Wisconsin, um, has developed a method of peering into other dimensions. I'm paraphrasing, but look into that. They've actually, I think more accurately, developed a method of viewing and seeing multidimensional objects or aspects of an object um, beyond the four-dimensional uh, realm of observation that they would typically be utilizing. They're viewing in a multidimensional way, which how is that not a stepping stone to being able to see and quantify in some visual way a multidimensional energy like love? So we're not nearly as far as where you might think, folks. We're actually right there. And I knew that before we started talking about this. And I knew some of y'all be thinking in the back of your mind, we're never going to actually be able to see love. And I knew I'd get to a point where I could show you that we're already right there on the doorstep. So I did set you up just a little bit. No, but yeah, that's exciting to me. All of this is very exciting, and all the progress that we have exhibited to me is extremely exciting, and again shows you just exactly where we are headed in multidimensionality and being able to utilize multidimensional disciplines to locate, identify, measure, and view multidimensional energies like the energy of love. All right? Man, did I enjoy that conversation. Thank you all. Take a bow, stand up, do whatever you want to do to recognize yourselves. I recognize you all. I thank you all tremendously. And the truth is, I love you all. Thank you. Man, we did it. Yet another magnificent conversation. Please, everybody, remember to chime in next week to Build with Big King, where we will have another very, very interesting subject, a powerful topic. And I can't wait to hear what y'all got to say about it. Man, this has been a magnificent conversation yet again. This is getting to be our thing. Huh? Man. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Sean. Both Seans. Thank you, everybody who chimed in today. I can't say how much I appreciate y'all for real. We are building a beautiful forum, and I couldn't be more pleased. So thank you all tremendously. All right, until next week, next Saturday at 7 p.m., same time, same back channel. Right? Check me out next week, please, at 7 p.m. I look forward to seeing you all yet again, hearing from you all yet again. Thank you all for helping me to continue to build the worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. This has been another episode 4 of Building with Big King. Peace, love, respect. Out.